I can't do it. I love the block plan. Well, I just like, I have ADD. And so like in high school, something I struggled with was, you know, focusing on different classes and kind of juggling my focus. And so being able to have the block plan, something that like kind of institutionally forces me to focus on my assignments and like be a responsible student, I think is something that's just very beneficial to me and like my development and maturation. I eventually switched my major from economics to philosophy. And I hope to eventually kind of take some of these philosophical questions and go to law school. One of the things I want to do, it's largely driven by law school. I want to use law school to kind of go out and like make change in the world. I think it's like I've kind of analyzed the situation and decided that I think law is one of the best and most effective ways to, you know, enact large-scale change in the country and in the world. And so because of that, that's, you know, kind of driven my passion for these bigger questions, as well as how to pursue those bigger questions in a pragmatic way.
Come here.
That's
Hold your mother
weird.
pillow.
Now I'm just gonna be here embarrassed. So I've done a couple internships so far. You know, I've gone and I did Justice Corps, which was in the courthouse actually right nearby in Colorado Springs. And that was kind of helping people manage the legal system. You can't like give legal advice if you're not a lawyer, but you can, you know, help them fill out forms, stuff like that. So I did that during the summer last summer, and I thought it was like very fulfilling, but also to some extent it's like, this just shouldn't exist. You know, this shouldn't be a hurdle people have to overcome. So I'd much rather just fix the system altogether.
And within like the first 4 hours, he started telling me his like theory of government with like, instead of political parties, there's like point systems, and it was like super confusing. And
well, I think in order to envision and enact practical solutions, you have to first kind of deal with these overarching problems. Like you have to establish what are you arguing for, you know? And once you have that down, then I think you can kind of take the steps from there to go. But I think there does have to be that core motivating idea or passion. And my optimal career trajectory is something that will put me in a place where I can argue for, you know, those big things I think should be done better.
I don't know why I fell for you. Just, I guess, because he's like a weirdo, but very passionate about his weirdo things.
So I'd say my personal life philosophy is to like put out into the world what you want to receive it to some extent, while also doing that in like the best possible way. I think kind of optimizing the good that you put out into the world and like making sure that you live up to your potential in terms of the impact you can make is something I've always wanted to like focus on. And like my outlet throughout my life has always been games or video games. You know, I've loved all manner of games ever since I was a little kid, and kind of the combination of the competitive nature with having to kind of think through things and form, sort of like what you do in philosophy, right? You have to kind of form out this logical progression, and then in games you get to see that logical progression out. So you get to like see an outcome, which is something I just think is super satisfying. And so being able to kind of handle these bigger things all day and then eventually go home and like do something where I can get an answer and it's very like viscerally satisfying, I think is definitely a great way for me to deal with stress. I like to, as I said earlier, Overwatch is kind of how I relax and how I deal with stress. And part of that for me is in my posture. I like to, you know, keep a nice posture all day. And then when I sit, I like to release that posture. So, you know, tucking my, something like this, a little more relaxing. Obviously not in this chair, but yeah, you know, I like to incline a little bit, let the old yams relax, so.
This is how we sit.
Oh, well, I hated Hammond at first. He came out, and this was after they had pushed all this esports scene, you know, dumped tons of money into it, and then, you know, it's very, very big boy, very adult, that you know, that this is a new sport now. And then they introduced a hamster and a ball, a big metal ball who swings around and smacks people. I thought that was just absolutely ridiculous and like completely went against their efforts. And so at first I dismissed it, but then eventually I realized a better solution. I would embrace it. By becoming the ball, you gain untold powers. It's insane. Make a good first impression.
You do. It's a little scared. I should leave.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's crazy.